Good morning. It's Rob, theinsuranceartist.com, coming to you on Wednesday with the third day of the biggest scams in insurance. Hope everybody's enjoying the video presentations and the details here that we're offering. Super excited to talk today, not necessarily about something that a lot of agents go into. We're always talking about how to save you money and how to get you into better policies, things like that, and how to save money on the front end. What I want to talk about today, and what is truly what I would consider negligence on the insurance companies and the agents' part, not educating, not talking about what it really means to not only save you money on the front end, but be there for you in the event of a claim, especially when it comes to homeowners insurance. So we're going to talk today about homeowners insurance and the differences in what would be considered market value for your property, and then what it is that the insurance world covers for you, which is replacement cost coverage. This is where peace of mind comes into play. The likelihood of you having a complete loss, you come home and your house just isn't there anymore, knock on wood, is very, very minimal, 0.00 on and on percent. But in the event that it happens, or that there's a fire and there's a partial loss, 50, 60, 70%, what have you, you want to make sure that you're covered. Again, the likelihood of that happening is minimal, but in the event that it happens, you want to make sure you're covered. And that's where the peace of mind coverage comes into play. And that's what we like to offer at Highland Insurance, and make sure that you've got enough to replace what it is that you have. And that's what comes into play with insurance. So there are three main numbers that you need to be aware of when it comes to your home and the value of your home. First of all, is the assessed value, i.e. how much you pay taxes on. That is assessed by the property valuation administrator in your county. You get a tax bill in Jefferson County. It's every November, and that's the amount that you have in the assessed value. Generally, the assessed value is going to be less than the market value, which is that next number you need to be concerned with. How much will someone pay for your home? That's the market value of your property. Then there is the replacement cost. Now, as an insurance expert, I know that when I see people offering their declarations pages to me, and I see that their market value, i.e. what someone would pay for it, is around the same number as the replacement cost, big red flags come into play.
Say what?
Because as everybody knows, depreciation sets in the minute that you either buy something or build something. The likelihood of you putting in $20,000 for hardwood floors, a $25,000 to $30,000 sunroom, what have you, the idea, or the likelihood of you getting that back out of your home completely is very, very minimal. I think that's pretty common sense. I think a lot of people can appreciate that. Getting into even more detail here with regard to replacement cost, Lauren and I looked at building a home here recently and met with several builders to talk about per square footage amounts and what the details were going to be there. At a minimum, we were looking at $150 a square foot to build a home. Now, that doesn't include land value. And a lot of people, when we talk and fair market value comes into play, and it's like, well, I've got $240,000 for fair market value, but you're not going to have to rebuild my land. Fine, fair enough. So let's look at some numbers. If you've got $150 a square foot, which is the bare minimum that a builder can, or frankly should offer, in my opinion, a decent builder to rebuild a home. Let's look at a normal 1,800 square foot ranch house, for example. At $150 a square foot, that's $270,000 to replace or build that home. Now, do you have an 1,800 square foot ranch, one story? If so, are you insured at $270,000? If not, we got some problems here. But let's also say you've got a second floor. Let's say you got a basement. Let's say you've got more square footage. Or let's say that, heaven forbid, you want more than just the standard stuff. You want some nicer cabinets. You want the granite countertops. You want those things that should be replaced at whatever it is that you have in your home. And it's not going to be $150 a square foot. So let's do $175 a square foot. I'm going to do just some quick math here. You do $175 a square foot at 1,800 square feet. That's $315,000. Do you have $315,000 in replacement cost coverage? I sure hope so. If not, you've got some issues here, folks, and I want to make sure that that's again, that's where the peace of mind coverage comes in. We want to make sure that in the event of a complete loss, and that's what insurance is all about, right? The catastrophic issues that come into play. You want to know that you're well taken care of. And so, a lot of conversations that I have every day, well, that's too much in replacement cost. That's too much. My home's not worth that much. Well, I know your home's not worth that much. My home's not worth as much as I have insured for. But the fact is, it's going to cost more to replace than it's going to ultimately be worth. It was going to cost about 25% to 30% more than what the property was ending up worth once Lauren and I were to finish building. So we decided not to build. We decided to buy into a nice property over in southern Indiana. So, just something to think about here. I think that's in my opinion, several companies that I've seen around in Kentucky and in Indiana usually will insure your property at or around market value, and you don't know the difference. You're not supposed to know the difference. We're supposed to have these conversations here and make sure that you're covered. I think of one specifically that talks about being big in Kentucky. They sure as heck aren't big with replacement cost. Very often I see them underinsuring properties. They will insure at fair market value, and it's just not accurate. So, it's all about risk. If you don't believe that you're going to have a complete loss, again, chances are very unlikely, but the opportunity is there, and that's why you're paying insurance. We're talking about pennies on the dollar to insure your property for what it's worth with replacement cost versus fair market value. It just makes good sense. Not to mention here that our companies understand this. Our companies have the same data that we have. We've talked about stats and all the details. Our companies know that if you're going to be a cheapskate and you're going to not insure your property for what it should be, there's probably a higher propensity to file claims. There's a higher propensity for not understanding what it takes to take care of your home. So you're going to be probably a bit dinged for that on your insurance. And to suggest otherwise, to think that these insurance companies don't know this, folks, you're flying blind. It's inaccurate. The amount of data and detail that these companies go into to make sure that their risk is covered is insane. So you might as well have that same information. So something to think about here. Give me a shout when you have the opportunity here, 502-637-4733, theinsuranceartist.com. Thanks so much for your time today. We'll see you tomorrow back with number 4 of the biggest scams in insurance. Take care.